Hi guys, today we're going to talk about your options after the back glass. So in Spanish this is the Bajada, and this is when you basically have the ball that bounces off the back glass and you're going to try and attack it, and today we're going to look at where you could be hitting that ball on the other side of the court. To begin with, we need to establish how that lob will bounce off that back glass. For example, if someone's hit quite a high lob that bounces quite vertical and it bounces off the glass and it stays quite close, it means that we're not able to attack that ball to get behind it and be aggressive. Or if it's a high one and it bounces and hits the fence and it bounces off funny, you can't really position yourself to attack those. So those limit your shot choices and you might need to lob off that ball. But the majority of balls will bounce, hit the glass, come slightly away from the glass, and that means you have that opportunity to attack the ball. So we know that this ball is going to bounce away from the glass, and like all good back glass shots, we're going to get behind the ball so that we can contact in front and therefore get our momentum going forward. Now, once it's come off the glass, we have a few options. We can either play aggressive down the middle of the court, we can play down to the angle, the cross-court angle, or we can play back on ourselves down the line at the angle as well, going for that corner, and we also have the option of the lob. Now, if you're lobbed on the backhand side and the lob comes over you and you're in this side of the court, it's much less risky and a much more sensible shot to either play down the middle or to play cross-court angle. It's your open side, you can play forward through the ball and you can go forward into the court. It's difficult to play that angle back on yourself. Yes, at the advanced level you do see players play that, but it's a lot more risky. Always, you've got the option of the lob depending upon the situation in the point. Whenever you're lobs, you always want to try and play that ball off the back glass with your more dominant shot, the shot that you're more comfortable with. And most of the time that's the forehand. So if you're in this position and you get lobbed over your left shoulder, but you're the one who's going to play it on the forehand side, it means that you need to really get around that ball so that you can move into position and then let the ball bounce off the glass and then come and hit the ball like that. It often means you need to do a V shape with your footwork to get back and to go behind the ball, because obviously from the angle the ball is going to bounce away after it hits the glass, so you need to get behind it and then step towards that ball. Now, with the options with the forehand side, again, if you're in this position, it's easier to hit away. So you could hit the shot down the middle because it's fairly central, or you could hit the shot down the line. That's easier for you than to change direction and try and hit that angle cross court. Yes, at a good level, again, we see that a lot because we know that when the ball is in this corner, your cross-court opponent, he's going to cover the middle, and your down-the-line opponent, he's going to cover your line. So they will move slightly, opening that gap up a little bit at the top level. But generally speaking, it's much safer for you to go down the middle or to go down the line from the forehand side.
You need to be confident attacking this ball off the glass. The lob is a very common shot in padel, and so you need to be prepared to hit this shot quite regularly during a game. Here you can see a nice high lob, it bounces close to that back glass. I know I'm going to take it on my dominant side, give myself space, and then can be aggressive into the ball.
One shot that people often don't consider is the lob, and when I'm talking about the lob off the back glass, I mean the intentional lob. Yes, at the recreational level, players often don't get behind the ball, so they have no choice, so they end up lobbing. And if your opponents can see you doing that, then they don't come close to the net because they know there's no pressure and you're going to hit the ball in the air. But when you get better, what happens is the players, they get good at hitting these bajadas and being aggressive, so the players come forward to block. Now, when you get into a match and you've hit a few of these, your opponents start to think, right, I've got to block this ball, so they come a little bit closer to the net, and that is the good time to play an intentional lob because you've got a lot of space past your opponents. So if you get into a game and you're hitting a few good aggressive shots and they're blocking the ball back and they're in good positions at the net, don't be afraid to hit that lob.
Here you can see that after the lob, the players really come forward close because they're used to facing an attacking shot and they're used to blocking. But here, nice disguise, pop it over their head, and then it's quite easy to take that net position back.
The last tip for this shot is to listen to your partner. Now, when you're playing, your partner needs to be telling you what's happening with your opponents. So when you get lobbed and you're running back, you can't see your opponents. If they tell you that one of them is back, then you need to hit that opponent at the back, and therefore you can come forward together as a pair. Or if they say very close, you know that the players are close to the net, and it's a good opportunity for you to lob. If you haven't already seen the communication video, that's definitely a good one to watch after this.
The first main decision with this shot is whether to let it bounce and play after the glass or to hit a bandeja. Here you can see I've let that high ball bounce off that back glass because I didn't think I was able to keep that net position. Again, they've stayed towards the back and they're not able to come forward as well. And here you can see a high lob. I could let that bounce, but I've decided that net position is more important. And again, I'm hitting bandejas instead of trying to play this ball off the glass. That's an important decision that you need to make during the point.